Humor, haunts, and homicide.
Hey,
bitch!
Shit! Whoa, that was... You're right, it is different every time.
Yeah, I mean...
Keeping it fresh. Hot off the Renee.
I'm adding weird noises now.
What was that?
I don't even know.
Was it a dying, antelope? That's...
I don't know.
Something died in your soul.
Well, you know what I do know, though, is that I'm Renee.
You are Renee. And I'm Josh.
And this is Humor, Haunts, and Homicide.
It is Humor, Haunts, and Homicide. Welcome to episode 5, season 2 of Our Bullshit.
Yes.
You're in for a treat because we got a lot of all over the place things to talk about today. Just like every other time you listen to us. So you're in for a treat. Would you like to just get in?
That's what she said.
Get into our vehicle of crazy.
Yeah, that's great. Let's get right in.
Well, what have you been watching? Or, better yet, I could just tell you what I've been watching.
Oh, okay. I mean,
if that's fine with you too.
I would love that.
Okay. Because X-Men 97, I've talked about it before. I know you have not watched it, but
Correct.
I know that there are some nerds out there that are listening that have watched it. And if you cried like I did, then you understand when I say that was the best animated television that's ever been written.
I would just like to say that I'm proud of you for the emotions that you're...
I don't like anime. Yeah. I want to talk about that too, which is very interesting coming from a nerd.
Yeah.
Most nerds love anime, but there are the fellow few weirdos like me that just like everything other than anime.
Okay. I'm not hugely into anime either, but I've noticed my son is into anime.
Oh, yes.
He's been watching it lately.
Okay.
Anyway, that's really all I have to say about that. But
yeah.
I'm not hugely into anime, and I'm not really big into the comic book stuff like you are. But I'm not into it either. I enjoy the X-Men movies and things. I enjoy Marvel, just not to the degree that you enjoy it.
And that's fine.
I'm like the Harry Potter nerd, and
yes.
I'm very Harry Potter nerd.
And it's
Legos
funny. You could Harry Potter me any day.
And puzzles and trivia. I'm that kind of nerd. But yeah.
Which is fine. There's a different nerd quadrants.
Yeah. But basically we combine our nerdiness together, and we make this super nerd that...
It's like Captain Planet.
That can't be beaten, I don't know.
It's like the nerds of the world that unite as one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we have a name?
I don't know, but we have rings.
We have rings.
We have rings, or maybe we would do bracelets or something. Friendship bracelets.
I'll make them. That does align well with your culture.
Yeah.
Maybe we even call ourselves Harry Potheads. I don't know. That just sounds fun.
So far, so good. Yeah. So far, I'm in.
Yeah, that's a good time. But yeah, I'm really obsessed with that. But I'm also obsessed with The Masked Singer.
Me too. And
you watched it?
Of course I
did. Good.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, I did.
How did you feel about the... Okay, yeah. Spoiler alert. We gotta disclaim that too.
So yeah, let's do a 5, 4,
3,
2,
1.
Okay, so The Masked Singer. Vanessa Hudgens was the winner.
She was.
Goldfish.
Yep.
She was great. However...
You agree with me then.
The gumball... and I
should have won.
Was Scott Porter. That was his name.
Still don't know who he is.
I didn't either, but he was great.
Fantastic.
He was really great. And I did watch it with Audrey. She watched it with me, and she agreed that
Audrey
he should have
is
won.
Renee's daughter, for those of you that do not know.
Yes, she's 13. But yeah, overall, it was a really great season. I enjoyed it very much. And I'm always sad that it's ending. And honestly, I guess it's because I'm old and I don't realize, again, how fast time goes. But I'm like, how is this the shortest season ever? And you know what? Started in beginning of March.
Has it been that long?
Yes. So it's okay, we got almost 3 months of a show. I shouldn't be complaining, but I already want the new season. So
I'm also confused about Rita Ora. Is she coming back? Is she not coming back?
I'm assuming that Nicole is coming back because that speech that she gave seemed very...
final.
Yeah. I think she was kind of just a placeholder because Nicole had something going on.
I know she had a Broadway show going on in London, I believe.
Yeah. So, but I liked Rita.
I loved her.
You know, so
I thought she fit right in.
I wonder if they'll end up doing like just adding. I mean, like, why not have 5 judges? Why
Right.
not?
Well, she does live in London, so probably had like temporary commitments of coming over here to work, or
Right.
maybe I think there's also stipulations of how much they can work without being a permanent resident.
She also may want to like do her music and stuff because she's
Fantastic
you know,
at
a
that
singer,
too.
So I mean, you know.
Oh my God, her new album. I know that you weren't like a huge fan of that new album, but I'm still loving it. I love it. I do. And if you guys are Rita Ora fans, check it out. I don't remember the name of her album, but it's on Amazon Music everywhere else. She does not pay me for that. I just wanted to know. I love Rita, so
Good.
that's that.
Good.
Yeah.
What else have I been watching? Oh, I watched for the very first time ever, and this is gonna shock people, especially since we're a haunting podcast. Is I watched The Conjuring for the first time ever.
Wait, you said ever?
Ever.
Okay.
No, of course I knew. I don't know. I just never
Was
did.
there
I
a
don't
reason?
know why. Well, I mean, okay, yes, probably. So it came out, I think it was like 2013. Okay, now mind you, so at this time I have a 6-year-old and like a 2-year-old, so I am like very heavily into like kids programming at this point. Like at that point in my life, I wasn't really like watching a ton of anything else that wasn't
Peppa Pig.
Well, I was kind of like desensitized, or yeah, like maybe resensitized. Scary movies, like during that time, really scared me, and it was because I was like so saturated with like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Bubble Guppies and fucking Yo Gabba Gabba.
Bubble Guppies.
That when I would watch a horror movie, it would like terrify me more than ever because I was used to watching this happy fucking sugary shit, you know what I mean?
Sugary
shit.
Candy coated.
So then I just never, I don't know, I never got around to watching it. And Audrey, my 13-year-old, talked me into it. And that movie's scary as shit.
It is.
Scary
it's based on a
as
true
shit.
story.
I
know.
So then, I mean, of course, I went and researched the whole, you know, but...
Would you maybe want to do a story on the house one day?
Ooh.
Because you know,
maybe
you dabble into little hauntings from time to time.
Yeah, maybe. But I enjoyed it. So now, of course, now I'm gonna be watching the other ones, and she told me we have to watch the Nun movies now.
Have you not seen Annabelle either?
No.
Oh my God.
No, I haven't seen any of that.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, I'm gonna.
You have a lot to
Here I go.
watch.
I know I do.
It's been a 10-year
excited
franchise. So
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to watch you through that journey.
Thank you.
And I might even go back and dabble in some myself.
Okay.
Because I also just really love it. And Vera Farmiga, love her.
I love her too.
Oh, everything she's in. I mean, she
So,
was in The Orphan.
Yes,
as
and
the
she
mom.
was in. I was very into the Bates Motel.
I forgot she was in that. Yes,
She was in that. She's the
mama.
The mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
So good.
She's crazy in that.
Gosh, she's so good.
She is very good.
Do you know that her sister is an American Horror Story?
Yeah, the Thaisa.
I think that's how you say it.
Something like that.
Tessa, maybe? I don't know.
No, I know it's something weird. Something.
Okay.
But anyway,
Tayshaun.
she was the girl, like the daughter in the first.
Violet.
Yep, and then she was in a couple. I think
She was in
a couple
Coven.
of them. Yeah, she was in Coven.
She was in a witch.
Yeah, she was in a couple of them. I like her.
She had the power of killing people with her snatch, remember?
Oh yes.
She killed people when she had sex with them.
Shit.
Which was almost like that movie It Follows.
What a bummer.
Did you watch that one?
I have not seen
Me,
that.
I have not seen that
No.
either. So
No.
maybe we have to do that too.
Okay.
Add it to the list of things we have to do.
Because there's not
At this
anything
point-
on that list.
No, not 42 of them. and counting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're doing that journey. But I'm also, since we're talking about scary movies, I know you're recently into the Scream franchise, but like not as much as I ever probably could be.
No, it's just that Audrey is following in your footsteps. She's a very, I mean,
It's an Aries
they're
thing.
her favorite, maybe it is. They're her favorite movies of all time. And she has made me watch them multiple times with her.
And they're all...
And so I know that when the new one comes out, I will be seeing it.
For those of you...
Against my will. So.
For those of you that do not know, Neve Campbell has signed on for Scream 7 along with Courtney Cox. And it is rumored that Hayden Panettiere is coming back. And also Patrick Dempsey from the third one.
Yeah.
And it's also reported, and I just read this 2 days ago, that they are doing a time forward, or time jump, if you will, to let Sydney's kids be teenagers and allow them to kind of take over the story as the new teens of the new legacy.
Okay.
Which, honestly, they should have fucking done in the first place, in my opinion. I think that would have made for a good way to take it.
Right.
However, I still liked 5 and 6 very much.
Okay. I like Neve Campbell, obviously, and I mean, Scream 1 is the best one of all time.
Classic.
It's really the best one. And I also, like, I liked her in Party of Five. Like, I mean, I've liked her for... Remember the show, Party of Five?
You're bringing me way back.
I'm quite a bit older than you, sort of, so...
Not quite. What is it, 6 years?
Like 6 years.
That's not quite. I mean... It's like you're 10 playing with a 5-year-old. That's not really that weird.
I guess that's not... But I would have babysat you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then I would have been older, and we would have played together.
Like, eventually. I would have babysat you and boss you around like I
and
did
then
with all the...
I would have threw up all over you. Because that's what kids do.
Great.
Right.
Well, then I would have grounded you.
Did you have that power as a babysitter?
Not really. No, not really.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. So that's cool. But since we're still talking about horror movies, we did see The Strangers this last weekend. And it was fucking terrible.
Oh.
Terrible. Did you see the originals with...
No.
Liv Tyler and Patrick Bateman?
I did not.
I thought, in my opinion, that was great. They had a second one. Not so great. I mean, it was still like slasher, which I'm always a huge fan of. But it was based off a true story.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that or not. Do you know anything about this?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
So, essentially, there are these 3 people in creepy-ass masks. One's a bunny, one's a girl with like weird hair that looks like Betty Boop. Another one is a guy with like it almost looks like a pillowcase, but I think it's a paper sack.
Okay.
And they terrorize these people in this cabin, but they don't kill them right away. Or maybe they don't ever kill them. I don't know. And they have to fight for their lives. But they do things like they'll enter the home when they think that they're safe, but you'll see the camera and they're like walking behind them.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of movie.
Yeah.
And it grips you because then they have to run into the woods and then they're just terrorizing one by holding an axe and not really running and knowing where they're actually hiding, and all of a sudden they pull it up and then they start trying to kill them. So it's more of a subtle kill or subtle amp up, I guess you'd call it.
Right.
Which for me is fine, but this one did not get it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a stamp of disapproval.
Big thumbs down on that one. We didn't even watch the ending. We left like 10 minutes before. It was like nothing happened. It was an hour and a half in. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Sort of, kind of, not really in the horror genre, but I did join Spotify.
Oh.
Recently, because they kept telling me I could get like 3 months of the premium for free.
I get like 3 of those fucking emails.
I know. So I finally was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it because I don't know. Like, what if I end up liking it better than Amazon Music? I do really like the Spotify Wrapped, like the end of the year thing and all the things that Spotify does. Like every month, it'll show you all your stats.
Okay.
There's like fun little playlists. So I'm just trying to see if I like it. Anyway, the point, though, is that I did find this podcast called Unseen. And basically, it's like in between 15 and 25 little minute episodes. And it's just, they're just telling you a story of like a crime. And some of them have videos. Some of them don't. I don't really know.
Is it co-hosted?
No, it's just like there's just like a guy who's just telling you the story, and but it's, just another true crime thing I found. It's called, and I've been liking it. I don't know.
You said it was Unseen?
Unseen.
Okay.
On Spotify.
On Spotify.
So yeah, I like it.
Is it on Amazon Music, or you just was on Spotify, found it?
It just happened to be like I don't even know how I found it, to be honest.
Okay.
I was just, it
Cool.
just kind of popped up, and I clicked on it, and I watched like 17 episodes.
Awesome.
So,
well, call to action for anyone out there that wants to recommend any other scary, awesome podcasts.
Yeah, anything good. Yeah, please recommend true crime podcasts to me, please. I will, please.
We got an arsenal, but
Please
there's room for more.
Always.
So give it to us.
Always, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know why you're welcoming for the audience.
I mean, yeah, right.
But I figured they can't speak for themselves, so I got to be the voice of reason.
Okay, that's good.
You know what I mean? Speaking of voicing of reason, I've come to a weird place with, I think it was either last week or the week before, we had talked about Ozempic.
That was
it last week?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
you're welcome.
See, that was probably more appropriate to fit that in. So I appreciate showing me what that looks like, being the role model there, role playing that. But yeah, so I made a decision to actually start taking Wegovy, which is some glutide. I probably just fucking jacked that word right up.
I don't know. You may as well. You literally could have said anything.
I think it's semaglutide is actually how it's pronounced. I took my first shot 2 days ago. First day, felt completely fine. Reportedly, you get a bunch of nausea, a lot of cramping in your stomach. Some people report constipation or a heavy bowel movement. And I will tell you, I've had one of those things. I'll spare the details. Day 2, everything was fine. Day 3, I have one of those things. Another one of those things, but not the same thing as the first day.
Okay.
And I like a guessing game for you guys, so
Yeah,
keep you guessing. But I will say I'm going to give it some time. If I if I can't figure out my internals by like a week 3, I think I'm probably just going to stop taking them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know it's a game, and it's not a game. What I say by that? I mean, it's a testing of like how is it going to react to my body? It's a new drug.
Yeah.
Is it going to help? Because that ultimately too, if it doesn't help in 8 weeks, then what's the point?
Of course.
And that's kind of the point. Is by 8 weeks you should start losing about 1 to 2 pounds a week, and I should see a turnaround in my blood sugar. I will say, almost immediately, I didn't feel hungry.
Okay.
So that was the first side effect. And all day today, up until about almost 4 o'clock, I did not have the urge at all to eat. And even when I did eat, I didn't feel like I wanted to. I just felt like I had to because I knew I had to eat dinner or something today. But I could have probably even gone all day without eating. So I don't think that's probably great. But I also think it's still regulating in my system.
I mean, it's been 2 days.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what it does or whatnot, but I'm definitely giving it a shot.
Really?
I didn't mean to do that.
Hey.
But I'm glad I said it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm doing it. And, I figured I took the COVID shot without even really knowing what was going on. Mm-hmm. This is the way that can help get my cholesterol, my blood sugar down, and also help me lose some weight. My doctor told me it was recommended, and of course they get a kickback on it. They wouldn't recommend it if they didn't. That's the insurance and the doctors and whatever. But that's my journey so far with that, and I'll just kind of keep talking about it week by week, just to kind of see where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, to get people out there that are thinking about trying it or that want to try it or maybe have tried it. We still want to hear those stories, so please give us the emails at support@humorhauntsandhomicide or admin@humorhauntsandhomicide. You can also write us on any part of our social media, so you can do that as well.
Yes. Last night, what did you do? Because I think we did something awesome.
We did. We worshiped together.
We did worship on Max.
We did. HBO Max, not Cinemax.
Well, yeah, but isn't it just called Max now?
It is. It's weird.
It's weird.
It's very confusing. I still call it HBO Max.
But either way, whatever. We worshiped to our Lord, Lady Gaga, last night.
I call her Mother Monster.
The, what's the name? Oh, the Chromatica concert.
Chromatica Ball
concert on Max, HBO Max, whatever. Was fucking fantastic.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen, I said this last night a few times, I've never seen somebody put on a better performance in my entire life.
Her vocals
on fucking point
were just phenomenal.
Better than I ever have heard her in a studio.
It's just, well, because it was just raw and the emotion behind
it was the movement. Even when she would sing a slow song, you could tell that she did it with poise and purpose and elegance and sophistication, but still unique and abstract.
And then, of course, the show was, and like the visuals were just
impeccable.
Just incredible.
Incredible.
We will never miss another Lady Gaga coming to anywhere near us. If she comes anywhere like within 3,000 miles of me.
I was going to say 3 states. If you come in anywhere within 3+ states.
Literally. Then
we're there, Gaga.
I'll be there because, wow. That was just... we would just cry. I think I would sob like the whole... we cried in the living room. Imagine if we were there. My goodness. Wow. It was incredible.
I felt moved. And it was also, I believe, the way that she addressed the audience and addressed certain human rights issues without really calling anyone or a particular political party out.
Of course.
And it just felt like she's a real human that says what she means and means what she says, and had just activation behind it, you know?
I don't even know what else to say.
She's an angel.
I'm obsessed with her, so.
Yeah, obsessed is a great word. That sums it up.
Obsessed. So.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I would say, since we're speaking of monsters, we're still talking about True Blood because we're still watching it.
Okay. Is Dylan liking it?
Dylan is liking it. He's actually pushed me to episode 8, which, again, I've already been through.
Of course, but you did never watch season 1.
I have not seen season 1. So I'm actually excited to push through it. But it was funny because he doesn't remember the days of like 20 plus episodes in a series. And he said to you and I last night, and there's like 12 in a season on True Blood.
Yeah, like that was weird.
And that was like a lot.
And I'm going, do you remember that show? Okay, I don't know if you ever watched Once Upon a Time.
I did not, but I remember all the promotion every week on it.
Honestly, you would.
I'm sure I would love it.
It was really good, but like that was like a regular, and I have no idea the network, but it was like an ABC, NBC, CBS show, like one of those where there's an episode every week, and there's like 20 episodes in a season. So when you had like, and I guess, was that not a thing anymore?
No.
Really?
Whenever they had, and it was, I think, 2 writer strikes ago, because there's been a couple of them.
Yeah.
The first one started in 2008, I think, when Heroes got all butchered. Were you into Heroes too?
Oh, yes, that was a disaster.
Yeah.
The whole thing
it was like
awful.
between season 3 and 4, they fucking
they ruined it. It completely ruined it.
And then it got canceled, and then they tried to bring it back in 2012, and it was just not the same. But anywho, the writer's strike happened then, and then there was another one, and then there was one more recently. It was the one in between.
Okay.
That's when all that happened.
Oh, okay. So now, so because to me, 12 episodes is not even half of what certain show. I mean, Lost had so many.
I know.
You know, like. Okay, I didn't realize that wasn't a thing anymore.
I think about Buffy, which was my number 1 show growing up. There was like 20 plus a season. For episodes.
I mean, even like Friends. Friends has like so many, and
all the sitcoms.
Really, everything. Yeah.
And a lot of it too is to cut budgets, and storylines were getting kind of muddled and hard to do, and they had to hire writers to write longer seasons. And because of the writer's strike, they really were negotiating different contracts and what they could and couldn't do.
Okay.
And somewhere along the way, 8 to 10 episodes started to become the norm.
Oh, shit. Well, I learned something new today. I thought that was just like on streaming or like the bigger like HBO type networks. I wasn't aware of that.
No, it was everywhere.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. You know what's not fun, though?
What's not fun?
Harrison Bucker.
Harry fucking ass.
Oh, God.
For those of you that like him, I'm not sorry.
I mean, I do like him as a football player. I did. He was very good on my fantasy football team, but I don't like the things he said at all.
Typically, I can separate the art from the artist. Like Doja Cat, I try to do that because I hate the shit that comes out of her mouth. But this motherfucker, I have no allegiance to. I have no loyalty to. And there really is no saving for me.
Basically, the slap in the face to stand there when you're like giving a speech at a graduation where there's like a bunch of women who are like graduating with probably their bachelor's and master's and stuff, and you're basically saying that a woman's place is in the kitchen. I mean, I know he didn't say it like that, but he essentially said like
he did.
Really, the best thing a woman could do is be a mother and a housewife. 2 people who are graduating. I
trying to figure out what's next in their lives.
I would have been furious sitting there. I was furious listening to it, but I would have. I feel like I would have gotten up and walked out. Like I would.
For those of you that don't know what the hell we're talking about, since we just kind of went into a tangent.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we do this.
Harry. What the fuck's his name?
Harrison Butker.
Harrison Butker. Okay, first of all, his name says a lot about who he is. Had went to a college commencement. He was invited. Got all dressed up nicely. You get on stage. You think he's like giving them some inspirational speech about what you're going to do next with your life and what you're going to look forward to and the things that's going to kick you down, but ultimately what can pick you back up. And he chooses what do you do exactly, Renee, at that point?
Well, basically he's exactly what I just said. He basically told these women that that a woman's place is as a wife and a mother. Like that's the most important thing a woman. It was like he was praising his wife for, and you know what? If his wife wants to be a housewife and a mother, that's great.
But also speaking for her.
If that's what, thank you. I don't like that either. But it was kind of like read the room.
Well, then he got into the gay topic in the LGBTQ community and started saying how we're all living deadly walking sins. And how essentially there's no room in society for people like us because we're not of the utmost faith in living the lifestyle that God wants us to live.
I believe that there's no place in society for somebody like Harrison Butker, actually.
And
that's what I think.
And then using the ability to have freedom of speech to then smear hate all over women's rights and all over LGBTQ plus rights in the same sense while trying to justify it with the word of God.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Explain to me how any of this shit makes sense.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And if you like it, then we're judging you.
And you could say whatever you want, freedom of speech. He can say his piece. You know what? Everyone has got a right to their own voice.
Fine, but we also have our freedom of speech.
Correct. And we also have the right to not hear that shit forced upon us at our college goddamn commencement.
Literally.
So there is a time and place for that freedom of speech. And he is an absolute fucking idiot, especially for the fact that he is doubling down on the fact that he has done it. Which, why would he not? He said it in the first place, planned it out, wrote a whole long fucking testimonial that could probably be a fucking research paper. Honestly, it's so long. And the fact that these poor people had to sit there for probably a good half hour
I would have been furious.
and listen to him ramble about hate and bullshit and bigotry all over that goddamn place is just mortifying.
Yeah, not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a Humor Haunts and Homicide.
No.
No.
Nope.
But I had to get it off my chest.
He's not on the Chicago Bears, so we're
He's not.
He's definitely not.
He's not. He's in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, he's on the Chiefs.
So that's kind of got an affiliation with your love, but we're not going to judge that.
Yeah, but you know what? Ultimately, what we really need to make sure that we know is the Bears. So
the Bears.
So anything aside, yes, I love Taylor Swift and her boyfriend's on the Chiefs. Whatever.
That's
he's
fine.
Not. My allegiance is to the Chicago Bears. Bear down, thank you.
Bear, is that a thing? Bear down.
It is, yes.
Oh. Grr.
Bear down, Chicago Bears is the fight song.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I could sing it, but I won't.
I mean, you could.
I'm not going to.
It's your floor if you need it. No?
Maybe one day.
Okay.
Maybe one day. Maybe during football season.
Or maybe during the release of your homework for the jingle for What the Florida. Have you maybe... How's that going?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Since we have the freedom of speech, we're going to use another right.
Yeah, I'm going to use my right as an American citizen to plead the fifth. Thank you.
Okay. Is it probably because you've been so worried with your angst and anger and sadness over your kids and how big they're growing?
Yeah, the last day of school was this last Friday, and I'm sad because that means that the kids go to their dads for most of the summer. So I'm sad about that, but I'm not necessarily sad as much as, I don't know the word, but basically other moms will know what I'm talking about. My son just graduated 11th grade, which means he's about to be a senior, and I can't stop crying about it.
I can't believe he's that damn old.
It's just, and I know it's cliche, but it literally goes by, when they tell you, don't blink and it just goes so fast. It is insane that this kid is about to be 17 and he's going to be entering his last year of high school. And yeah, I'm not sad about it. I'm
well, you cried, so there's an element of sadness.
I don't know. There's it's kind of bittersweet because I'm really proud. Number one, there's that
yeah,
I've raised a child that's made it to be a singer and
yeah.
He's pretty cool and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just hard. It's hard. It's weird. I will tell you that he's still not attached to me. That's not a good word to use, but he still likes me. He likes to hang out with me. So when he's out of high school, I'm not concerned that I'm gonna lose him or anything.
Right.
To be honest, on the contrary, I'll probably have to shake him off at some point.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Oh,
that was on purpose, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it was.
It's always on purpose.
Give you that cred.
The player's gonna play. Sorry, I'm sorry.
She has Tourette's. Woo!
Hey,
you like that? That was good, right?
I'm gonna have to write that down.
Tourette's. It's right there. Some paper.
Tourette's. Hold on, I am gonna write
Please
that down.
Please hold. 1, 2, 3.
Tourette's.
Moment of Tourette's. That didn't work as well, but it's fine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goody. So, I don't know. I kind of want to go back to like horror movies for a second.
Okay.
Have you watched the Beetlejuice 2 trailer?
I absolutely have watched
my
the
God, I'm
Beetlejuice.
so fucking happy for
How
so many reasons.
good does Winona Ryder look?
So good.
God.
There's so many good things. So I love Michael Keaton.
Of course.
Of everything he's in.
Oh,
You go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna real quick just he's the best Batman. That's all I was gonna say.
Oh, hands down.
The best Batman.
Val Kilmer was great too. Bless his vocal box, but
Michael Keaton, the original Batman, that the one from like 1990 where like he's in it and Jack Nicholson is the Joker.
Perfect.
And Kim Basinger is it's perfect.
Perfection.
Anyway, but yeah, Beetlejuice.
Wait, was she Poison Ivy?
No. Kim Basinger was
she wasn't.
Kim Basinger was in the first one and she was like the reporter lady. Like
okay.
Yeah.
It's been so fucking
long.
But
Poison Ivy, that was like maybe movie number 3 or 4, and that was Uma Thurman.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I love Poison Ivy because I'm all about a redheaded character because I identify with that. So I always love a redheaded character. That's why I like Scarlet Witch. I like Poison Ivy. I like Black Widow. I mean, if you're a redhead, I'm in.
That brings me to an idea. Why don't we do gender bender Scarlet Witch costumes this year? Like I'll be Scarlet Warlock
for Halloween,
and you be Scarlet. Maybe no.
Maybe. I was just thinking because remember when I was going to potentially marry you as Scarlet Witch and we found that badass.
Oh my God.
Scarlet Witch costume, but it was a little pricey. But God, man, I would look really good in it.
You could, and you can also return it after Halloween. So there's that.
Yeah.
You know.
But would I want to? That's
probably not, but you could if you don't want to ever wear it again.
True.
But there's
we really got off on a tangent. We were talking about Beetlejuice too.
But we were talking about redheads and because
I know.
How did we get to Batman? Oh, Michael Keaton.
That's
right.
It.
That was a tie-in.
That's it.
We're back to Michael Keaton.
Hello.
But Beetlejuice 2, love Catherine O'Hara.
Oh my God, I love her.
Oh, she looks so good too. And Jenna Ortega.
Yep.
Love the shit out of her.
I'm excited she's in it.
The whole cast.
Perfect for it.
The
really
whole
perfect
cast.
for
There's
it.
also, oh my gosh, what the fuck is his name? There's another guy that's in it that's playing a dead ghost. And I can't remember his name for the life of me. And I know that you know who.
I'm not going to be a help right now.
I know. That's okay. I'll find it out someday and
we'll
remember this
we'll
and bring it back on an episode. But if you haven't seen the trailer, please see it.
Absolutely.
Comes out in September.
I can't wait. We're going.
We're probably going opening night, if not that weekend. So stay tuned for that. But I'd also probably stay tuned for a Mad Lib. Should we do it?
Yeah.
What's this one called?
Well, this one, we're still in our RuPaul's Drag Race Mad Libs.
We're in that era.
Yeah. We're in our drag era.
That's right.
This one is called The Shade of It All.
The Shade of It All.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Like LaShawn Beyond told Jiggly Caliente, this is not RuPaul's wet friends race. Remember these moments in shade. Fifi O'Hara tells William in a tone that seemed very eager, I said that word weird, eager, that she only knows how to buy panties. Jade Jolie tells Alyssa Edwards her knuckles should match them hips. Foot rolls? Shangela reads Mimi Imfirst's Lee Bowery-inspired manly look. Mimi says Shangela had a pasta daddy, and they throw urine in each other's faces. Oh, wow. Wow. Shangela, that's not it.
Disgusting.
Sharon Needles calls Fifi a flashy-ass show saloon, and Fifi tells her to go back to the desert where she belongs.
Dude, that's kind of racist. That's mean.
Yeah. Ginger Minge and Kennedy Davenport got a little bony. No wonder they were called the Bitter Old Nun Brigade. And Mystique says, Flibberty Gibbert, I'm from the Tarth. Nuff said. Yeah.
Flibberty Gibbert. I love that we had to find a hard, silly word because for the Mad Lib, it asked us for a silly word.
It did. It asked for a silly word. So we were looking on Google and we were finding some that were okay. And finally we found Flibberty Gibbert. And I just look it up. It's a real word.
What does it even mean?
I don't remember already. I should have written it down. It meant something like it was a person, I remember. It was like a it said like a flaky person who's loud and annoying. It was something like that. So,
okay.
Stop being a flibberty gibbert.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So there.
Forgive me.
Okay, I guess.
Will you forgive me if I just jump right into what? The
Florida.
Fucking Florida.
It's a hell of a drug.
Florida.
I'm singing Taylor Swift.
I was trying to help you.
I know, thank you. I liked it.
I caught it.
Fuck me up, Florida. I'm going to get a shirt that says...
Oh, that's such a good
right?
song.
I know.
I love Florence and the Machine.
So good.
But I also love the story, so I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Okay, cool. This one's called Florida Man Wakes Up to 60-Foot Deep Sinkhole in His Front Yard.
How deep? 60
It's so
feet?
deep.
Wow.
So deep. So, a Florida homeowner is feeling uneasy after a huge sinkhole opened up in his front lawn. Polk County Fire Rescue said they responded to a hazard on Royal Crest Drive in Highland City on Saturday, January 20th. Officials measured at 15 feet wide and 60 feet deep as of 11:22 a.m. that day. First responders said the roadway remains open and claims there's no imminent threat to drivers. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, that thing just randomly opens up. It could
That
randomly grow.
That is a gaping throat hole. Okay, there's no way.
Your mom has a gaping throat hole.
She does, Kelly. I didn't say it. Kelly listens now.
I'm sorry, Kelly.
Kelly, she didn't mean it.
I'm sorry.
PCFR also shared photos of the sinkhole and its location in the front of the home. Kyle Austin, the homeowner, said his neighbor woke him up that morning to alert him of the massive hole. Quote, our neighbor woke us up around 8, told us there was a big hole in our front yard, went out and looked, and it's about a 60-foot drop down in our front yard, Austin told WFLA. I'm very nervous for having 2 kids being that close to a sinkhole and like 30 feet from their room. Another neighbor called the situation very unsettling since the hole is 200 feet from their own home. Officials haven't provided an update or additional details as of Monday morning, January 22nd, and no word on what they plan to do about the sinkhole.
This thing is
huge.
Could you imagine just waking up to that?
It's right next to their damn driveway.
Right next to it. I'd be so afraid that it would just like keep opening.
It's probably not even like 6 inches from the cement.
No.
And what if you're just driving, you're getting out of your car, you're going, and you just happen to, slip in a sinkhole.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Terrifying.
Oh, terrifying.
Well, let's do one more What the Florida story.
I'm down with that.
This one is entitled, Passengers Accused of Sneaking Over 100 Bags of Marijuana on Florida Cruise.
Okay. All right.
They wanted to party.
Yeah, they did.
2 cruise passengers are facing serious charges after federal agents reportedly found over 100 bags of marijuana in their luggage. 2 cruise 100 bags. Wow. Okay. Wow. Michael Quessenberry and Savannah Minami were arrested on a slew of drug-related charges earlier this month, according to a Department of Homeland Security affidavit. Officers, I'm sorry, that was not the word. Officials said the board. Oh my God! Wow. Hello. You know what, man? I'm gonna start that over. Officials said the duo boarded the Norwegian Joy cruise ship on January 11th for a trip from Miami to Southampton, England. When investigators confronted them in a passenger room, Minami claims she just met Quessenberry at a bar on the ship. The affidavit reads, DHS agents reportedly let her leave the room. Documents states officials discovered 56 vacuum-sealed bags holding a green leafy substance, which later tested positive for marijuana inside Quessenberry's bags. The traveler told investigators the weed was for personal use, and he had a medical marijuana card in California. 56 bag. How big are these bags? Officials then brought Minami back to her room and found 56 more sealed bags of marijuana in her luggage. Altogether, federal agents reportedly seized 112 bags of marijuana, weighing more than 150 pounds from the duo.
I also want to say
150 pounds.
First of all, that's a lot of fucking weed. Second of all, her name is Minami in Miami. It's a lot of Ami.
It was. That was a lot.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Quessenberry and Minami were charged with conspiracy. How much marijuana have I had? That's the question. They were charged with conspiracy to export a controlled substance, attempted exportation of a controlled substance, conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. This is like a tongue twister. And possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance. Wow.
That's a lot of substance.
It's a lot. The pair pleaded not guilty to the indictment. It wasn't me, says Shaggy. Reporters said a jury trial is scheduled for March 11th. And there it is. Wow, I finally got through that thing.
That was painful.
It was pretty appropriate that I was the one reading that story, I'm not going to lie.
That may have hurt me more than it hurt you.
Okay, great. Well, friends, I think it's time to be scared, and Josh is going to do that for us.
Well, I hope I give you a little bit of creeps, because that's kind of my goal. So,
it's, part of the
whole thing we do.
It really kind of is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and part of the other thing we do is talk about things that interest me, which is why I do these stories. And
obviously.
One of those is Savannah, because, as we know from the first couple episodes, we've discussed me going there on a trip, and then I did another rendezvous trip with my parents in April. And I didn't get to tell enough of those stories from places that I really looked at as we did the ghost tours.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to hear as much as possible, because I still haven't been to Savannah, so I want to know all about it.
Yeah, and honestly, initially when I was doing the research, I was going to do a twofer like I did for our Drunkisode, but I realized doing this I had enough history and enough guts to the story that it could be a shorter regular story.
Alrighty.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about a haunted Savannah, and we're going to tell you about the Kehoe House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So, in American history, there are so many stories of past times filled with a range of different emotions. Many of them are happy and exciting and filled with love. On the contrary, many of the same past times are filled with hate and darkness. Over the course of time, there have been even towns that have had their own deep-rooted darkness. Savannah, Georgia is one of those towns. For you brave travelers, a visit to Savannah is all about learning the storied history of this charming southern city. But for others, there is a deep, dark-rooted history and past that feels just as intriguing. Savannah has been through the rules of pirates, war, pandemics, town-wide fires, savage slavery, mysterious murders, and so much more throughout its dark and rich history. Because of these events, Savannah has gained a reputation for being the most haunted city in America. For those of you that are regular listeners to the podcast, like I mentioned, we have traveled there. We're going to go back there. I hope to live there one day. But this is just one of those stories that we're going to tell you today. The Kehoe House all started with William Kehoe, who was born on August 21st in 1842 in Wexford County, Ireland. William moved with his family when he was 9 years old and grew up in a poor but loving and religious family upbringing. William was one of 7 children in the family. The Kehoe family migrated to Savannah February 28th of 1851. William's father ended up dying from the infamous yellow fever outbreak that took over Savannah. He was only 51, and it was shortly after they moved to Savannah from Ireland. So imagine getting your entire family, this huge family of 9, all across the world to be able to go to Savannah, and your dad just randomly dies. Terrible.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, of course, at a young age, he learned how to be a man very quickly and an adult, and he actually fought for the South in the Civil War near Selma, Alabama. As a young man, he apprenticed as an iron molder, where he frequently made bullets for the Confederate Army. He worked his way up the ladder of success until he owned his own iron foundry. He made his fortune through a mix of keen business sense, skill, and his pleasant demeanor. He also had a really high sense of teamwork and determination. So a lot of people loved him. At the age of 26 in 1868, 7 months after the death of his mother, William married the love of his life, Annie Fleur. Together they had 10 children. Of those 10 children, there was a set of twins, twin boys. Tragically, one of those children that was not the twin boys had died there in infancy in 1876. So tragedy struck again for William.
10 children. I'm still stuck on that.
I think, in a religious upbringing and where they were, they just kept fucking.
There was no birth control.
Whatever God gave them for babies, they just kept on taking. And, it stayed true with his family growing up with 7 kids, and then now to also have a huge family of 10. It is rumored, though, that the twins did actually die in the home, but we can't actually substantiate that. And that comes directly from the Kehoe House's website.
Okay.
But it is the most popular tale that's told on every almost every haunted ghost tour in Savannah. The Kehoes eventually built their first home on 130 Habersham Street, but as his business and family grew, the Kehoes built a larger, more of the times home. He liked the historic district so much that he purchased the southern half of the lot, located diagonal across the street for $950 at that time. Normally I do the whole breakdown, but to be honest, I totally forgot to do that this time, so there's realness for you. The Kehoe House was designed by DeWitt Brunn and was built at the cost of $25,000. The home was completed in May of 1892, and the 12-person Kehoe family moved into their new home. William and Anne Kehoe shared 52 happy years of marriage together when Anne passed away at the age of 73 on December 30th, 1920. I think I saw you digging for the dollar breakdown.
I did it.
What is it?
So $950 in 1850. So it's like close-ish.
Yeah.
Is worth $38,188.54 in today's money.
So what about $25,000? Because that was how much the cost of the entire project was at that time.
Okay. That would be $1,004,961.
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah. So there you go.
Wow. That's awesome.
There it is.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, Anne Kehoe, the wife, had died at the age of 73 in 1920. Her obituary did not state her cause of illness, but did state that she suffered a long illness, which, of course, was unfortunate. William Kehoe died himself of pneumonia on December 29th, right after Christmas, 1929, just 9 years after the death of his wife. He was 87 years old. He was one of the city's oldest residents at the time of his death and was survived by 7 of his children. I
mean, I would say, like, in that time, for sure, like, 87 would be definitely pretty old. I mean, it's old for this time.
Absolutely.
So, certainly in the 20s.
Yeah, definitely. And there wasn't a whole lot of medicine that was advanced to be able to really sustain people to that age. So, absolutely. And knowing that he was such a good person, or at least, everyone perceived him as a good person,
Yeah, I like it.
Absolutely. Mr. Kehoe's heir eventually sold the home in 1930. In the 30 years following the sale of the home, the property was then used as a boarding house. It was at one time a mortuary called the Goet Family Home, and in 1980, famed New York Jets football player Joe Namath. Do you know who he is?
Joe Namath, yeah, he's very famous.
Okay, so I didn't know who he was,
I
did Google him and found out he was on the Jets, so that's fun. He bought the Kehoe House for $80,000. Joe thought that this was a time where everything was going to be turning around, and he thought he could turn it into a nightclub or a disco, but the neighborhood just kind of threw a fit, and he ex-nayed that.
Good, I'm glad he did.
And honestly, it's got so much history that
would have been
fuck with a good thing.
Honestly.
Yeah, how disrespectful, even if it is your property. So he changed his mind eventually, but held on to the home, ended up renovating it, fixed it up, sold it in 1989 for $530,000. Wow. So definitely made some profit on that. In 1990, when he sold the property, after the 2-year renovation, the property then opened as a historic bed and breakfast, amply named the William Kehoe House. The property was sold again in 2003 and was purchased by its current owners, HLC Hotels, in May of 2007. Today, the property has 13 luxurious rooms available to be rented for your bed and breakfast destination, which I showed you the pictures before we started recording.
Gorgeous
Super
place,
cute.
Honestly.
They really didn't change anything about the decor, which I thought was really nice, respectful, and honestly really quaint.
Yeah, and we looked into it to see, like, if it was affordable, and there are certain nights for like $400-something a night, and we were like, what?
Usually on a Saturday.
But we could go in July for $206 a night. So
for your birthday.
Yeah.
So maybe. I'm just saying. Beautiful. But as we know, I like historical facts and all, but I wouldn't be telling you this still if it wasn't creepy. So,
well, I would sure hope so.
If you would like some details, let's discuss. The first one is about the wife of William Kehoe, Annie Kehoe. She is said to frequently visit rooms 201 and 203. She has a sweet and friendly female presence and has been known to sit on the bed next to sleeping guests, and in particular in room 203. The apparition of Annie has also been sitting at the desk in room 203 as well. So imagine waking up, someone It's just sitting there in like a foggy, ghostly figure. And
Tell you what, I'd be a lot less freaked out seeing a ghost sitting at a desk than sitting on the bed next to where I'm sleeping. That's for sure.
probably, but I'm trying to think of like I woke up and some woman is just writing at a desk, and you're
Oh,
like,
I mean,
hey.
I wouldn't be like super fine with it, but you know,
I don't know if I would just get up and run, or if I would just try like
you just like late. I don't
go back
know.
to bed. Like
I
it's
feel,
not happening. It's not
I
happening.
feel like if I would be I don't know if I'd be a runner. I feel like I would be put the covers over my head and just like pretend
But yeah, this
and
shit
just
did
like
not just happen.
and try to go back to sleep
Yep.
and pretend it never happened. That I would be more that. I
Yeah,
think.
she's writing. I don't want to bother her.
You know, yeah.
Go back to your thing. I'm just here sleeping.
Yeah, you
don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
Right.
We're gonna pretend this.
Right. So going back to Tomb Ruin. Wow, that was a remix if I ever had one. In room 201, the strong scent of roses has been noticed by many guests. The apparition of Annie has been seen coming and going in and out of the room. She sometimes makes her rounds on the third floor right around bedtime. The entity is also said to have once, this was going to creep you out, gently kissed a former owner on the cheek while they were spending the night laying in their bed in room 201.
No, that's just gonna be a no that's gonna be a no on my part.
Yeah.
No.
Her apparition has been seen frequently on the second floor as well as the third.
Okay.
Yeah. Another ghostly tale is that of the original owner, Mr. William Kehoe himself. During the evening hours, an unexplained light is sometimes seen in an unused room, which is far away from any noisy living going on. Not to mention noisy ghost children.
Always with the ghost children.
Uh-huh. The entity of William is still enjoying this quiet time as he did when he was still in the realm of the living. So he's a friendly guy again.
Yeah.
Wasn't mean or anything in his life, and he's still a friendly little ghost. Mr. Kehoe comes to visit, sometimes through the door as well, just like his wife, perhaps to check up on a guest that he has staying there in his former home. Another creepy tale of the haunting is that the concierge was sitting at the check-in desk when she heard the doorbell ring. She could see the lovely cut glass door right through it and saw that there was no one there. So, she ignored it, and even though it rang 3 times, but then to her surprise, not only did the front door unlock and open by itself, but all the doors in the house on all the floors were open as well.
Wow, cool.
Talk about fucking terrifying. Yeah. Another tale that I touched on a little bit earlier is a tale of the twins. The twins are said to be friendly spirits, but they're a bit noisy, and they are said to make themselves known most often to the living. A woman was sleeping in her bed with her husband in room 201 on a visit. She slowly woke up as she felt little hands softly stroking her hair and her cheeks. When she opened her eyes, she saw the apparition of a little boy, eye to eye, up close, who quickly disappeared. Now, I know that I've talked about this in past episodes, but for those of you that are just tuning in, I'm fucking terrified of ghost kids.
I don't like it.
Kids in general freak me out, but ghost children, there's a whole nother level of fuckitude to that. Did I just make a new word?
I think you did.
Was that nice?
I'm
fuckitude?
I mean, I don't hate it.
Okay.
I don't hate it.
I'm glad we don't hate that.
You're making that's the second word you've
It's
made
a
up
remix.
today. Yeah, that's the second word.
It's okay. We're on a little trend here.
I'm not opposed.
Thanks. The sound of little feet running up and down the home's hallways have been heard by numerous guests and staff. Children's voices have also been heard when no children were staying as guests. These occurrences are said to take place mainly on the second and the third floors as well. One person reported TripAdvisor's reviews website, and this is what they had to say about that. Quote, "We even got to experience the ghost of children on the night of a full moon. We heard them running and playing in the second floor hallway." Okay, so firsthand experience like that. Today, the Kehoe House sits prominently in Savannah with 13 opulent guest rooms with multiple private and semi-private balconies and a uniquely intricate restoration design that stays true to the original Queen Anne revival style of the times. Its exterior stairways, balustrades, window treatments, fluted columns, and capitals, fences and gates are all cast iron, which are all tribute to the Iron Foundry's excellence in pattern making and casting. This made-to-order bed and breakfast is also known for its small meeting venue, perfect for weddings, special monumental celebrations, or just a place to get away with your friendly ghosts. If you're brave enough to stay a night in this beautiful historical treasure, you're brave enough to take on some ghostly guests that may go home with you. This is a story of the Kehoe House.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, bitch. So I just scared you. I'm going to need you to give me the same dose of medicine.
I would love to do that.
Thank you.
I do know that we have some Australian listeners. We talked about it last week.
Down under.
Down under. And I was like, I promise you that at some point I'm going to do an Australian story. And I was like, you know what? What better time than the present?
What better?
You know? And I discovered this show on Tubi.
Tubi.
Yeah, it's like a free little like streaming thing.
Okay, I've heard of it.
And it's called like something about like the crimes that shocked Australia.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that's where I found this, and it's called the Snowtown Murders.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And then this shit's good. This shit's intense.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. The Snowtown Murders, also known as the Bodies and Barrels Murders.
What?
Were the
That's how we're going to start that? Okay.
Yep. Were the murders of 12 people in South Australia between August 1992 and May 1999. The crimes were uncovered when the remains of 8 victims were found in barrels of acid located in a rented former bank building in Snowtown, South Australia.
Damn.
On May 20th, 1999. I will say real quick that the show had the actual like police footage when they were going into the bank vault and like discovering this. So it was
holy crap.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. The town of Snowtown is in the mid-north of South Australia, 145 kilometers north of Adelaide. Though Snowtown is frequently linked with the crimes, the bodies had been held in a series of locations around Adelaide for some time and were simply moved to Snowtown in early 1999, very late in the crime spree that had spanned several years. Only one victim was actually killed in Snowtown. None of the victims or the perpetrators were from that town. 8 bodies were found in plastic barrels in the disused bank vault. 3 days later, 2 bodies were found buried in a backyard in Salisbury North, a suburb north of Adelaide. By the end of June, 9 of the 10 victims had been identified. The discoveries followed a lengthy, covert criminal investigation by South Australian police. During the investigation, 2 mysterious deaths, already known to authorities, were found to have been murders perpetrated by the Snowtown murderers. A total of 4 people were arrested and charged over these murders. All were convicted of the murders or assisting. This group was largely influenced by ringleader John Justin Bunting. Much detail was not made public with the cases, having been subject to over 250 suppression orders, many of which have not been lifted.
Do we know what those are?
No. Well, no.
Is that like an Australian civil thing?
I think so. I think that basically just means... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's like just something that's regulated to Australia.
Interesting.
But because they don't really... I mean, that's not really a thing over here, I don't
No, I've never heard of that.
So I'm gonna go over the perpetrators.
Okay.
Like there was more than one, so...
Fucking assholes.
John Justin Bunting, born 1966 in Inala, Queensland... Wow.
That was a hard one.
Yeah. Was convicted of murdering all listed victims except for one. And we'll go over them later.
Okay.
He is considered to have been the central figure throughout all of the killings and torture, and the one whose personality provided motivation for the other perpetrators. While psychological reports are not available to the public, it has been suggested by forensic psychiatrist Professor Kevin Howells, who has worked at Broadmoor Hospital in the UK, that Bunting's behavior suggested he lacks emotion and the capacity to empathize with his victims. Howells believes Bunting fits the profile of a psychopathic killer who derives satisfaction from controlling his victims.
Ugh.
When he was young, his favorite pastime was burning insects in acid. Like when he was a child,
Honey, what'd you do for fun today?
I know, right?
I just
Yeah.
burned some grasshoppers in acid.
No biggie.
No big deal.
During his teenage years, he was a neo-Nazi.
Oh.
During adulthood, Bunting developed a deep hatred of pedophiles and homosexuals.
Of course he did.
Now, granted, I hate pedophiles as well, but, you know.
I do too, but I'm also not a neo-Nazi.
No, definitely
But
not.
I am a homosexual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love you.
Thank you.
And all my gays. So.
I love you too.
Now, Robert Joe Wagner was another perpetrator. He was befriended. Wow.
Befriended.
We're both... I'm trying to make up new words too, just like you. Mine just aren't as good. Anyway, he was befriended by Bunting in 1991. He was encouraged by Bunting to assist him in the various murders and complied. Mark Ray Hayden was not convicted of any of the murders, but he pleaded guilty to helping the serial killers dispose of the bodies. James Spyridon Velasquez, that's difficult, along with his mother and half-brother, lived with Bunting and was gradually drawn into helping with the murders and torture. He later became the Crown's star witness. Elizabeth Harvey, Velasquez's mother, who knew about the murders and with Bunting's encouragement, assisted in one of them. She died of cancer after the arrests of Bunting, Wagner, Velasquez, and Hayden. Thomas Trevelyan assisted in the murder of one of them. Well, again, I'll go over them.
Okay.
Murdered by other gang members prior to police involvement. Jody Elliott, sister of Mark Hayden's wife, Elizabeth Hayden, was a woman with a below-average intelligence who had become besotted with Bunting. She impersonated a deceased former acquaintance of Bunting's to collect her Social Security payments. So she was also convicted for that.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Now, Bunting moved into his Salisbury North home in 1991 and quickly befriended Wagner and his boyfriend, Barry Lane, and Mark Hayden, who all lived nearby. The various victims were mainly chosen on a whim by John Bunting for imagined infractions. He especially hated pedophiles, and some victims were murdered as Bunting suspected them of being a pedophile, usually based on flimsy evidence or rumors.
How many people are going around like this person's a petty, this person's a petty?
Okay, so in the little documentary thing that I watched, he would literally, like, he felt like he had like almost a sixth sense that he could just tell by looking at someone if they were a pedophile.
Disgusting.
Like, yeah, he's just gross. Now, others were killed due to dislike of obese people or drug users or because they were gay men.
Gosh.
Most of the victims were friends or acquaintances of at least one of the group. Others were relatives, sometimes living in the same house as one of the killers. Others were briefly befriended and drawn into the group as they were picked as easy targets to satisfy Bunting's desire to commit murder. Usually, victims' Social Security and bank details were obtained, and the murderers or their associates impersonated the victims to continue to collect their pensions after their deaths. Although a total of 97,200, like dyslexic today, shit, was obtained in this manner, oh my God. I'm on a fucking roll today. Jesus. Social Security fraud was not judged to have been the primary motive for the killings. Wow. I need to go back to school and learn how to read. My God. The final murder was conducted in the bank building after the barrels had been moved there for storage. Now, the building was littered with tools used by the killers to torture and murder their victims, including knives, a bloodstained saw, double-barrel shotgun, coils of rope, rolls of tape, rubber gloves, cloths.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly that. A Variac metallurgy tool that the killers used to administer electric shocks to the genitals and other sensitive parts of the victim's body. So there was a lot of torture involved as well as this, which, you know.
So basically he was John Kramer.
It's gross.
Disgusting.
The pathologist's report later revealed that prolonged torture had taken place using everyday tools such as pinchers, pliers, and clamps. Examples of all of these were found in the vault. So, yeah. Okay. Now we're just going to go over the victims now.
Okay.
Bear with me because there is 12 of them.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. The first victim was Clinton Tresize, 22. He died August 1992. He was found buried in a shallow grave in 1994 at Lower Light. He was killed in Bunting's living room at his home in Salisbury North by being bashed with a shovel after being invited in for a social visit.
Oh.
Ray Davies, 26, died December 1995. A mentally handicapped man who lived in a caravan in the backyard behind Suzanne Allen's house, who became a target after her accusation that he was a pedophile. Harvey assisted in his torture. Davies was never reported missing.
What the fuck?
Now, Suzanne Allen, 47, was a friend of Bunting's. She died sometime after Davies, and her remains were found buried above his in the garden of the house at Salisbury North. Her remains were wrapped in 11 different plastic bags. Her death was concealed by the accused, and they continued to collect her pension, but they later claimed she had actually died of a heart attack. Based on the evidence presented at trial, the jury was unable to decide without a doubt that she had been murdered.
Are you fucking kidding
me? So
me?
she was the only one that he was not actually convicted for that I had previously mentioned.
That's terrible.
I mean, I understand because of like a proof thing, but I mean, but her body, I mean, I'm sorry. If she died of a heart attack, you would have called
How do you not?
You would not have like dismembered someone and put them in bags.
Correct.
It's just, there's no way. Just get out of here. Yeah.
Ugh.
The next victim was Michael Gardiner, age 19, who died on August 1997. An openly gay man murdered after a suspicion arose that he was also a pedophile. So again, just because Bunting was, his stupid, supposed bullshit sixth sense that he had.
Awful.
Barry Lane, age 42, died August 1997. I'm sorry, that says October. Lord help me today.
Yes.
Wow.
Please.
Woo! Barry was a gay man and cross-dresser who had been in a relationship with Wagner at the time Bunting first met them in 1991 when he moved into their neighborhood. Trevelyan was a later boyfriend of Lane's. Lane had been tortured by having his toes crushed with pliers.
What the fuck is wrong with this bastard?
Now, Thomas Trevelyan, who was an accomplice, also became a victim. He was 18. He died 1997. He was found hanging from a tree near Kersbrook in the Adelaide Hills and was initially presumed to have committed suicide. He had helped in the murder of Barry Lane, but was later killed after discussing the crime with others. He was known to his family to have suffered from paranoid schizophrenia and was easily persuaded.
Terrible.
Gavin Porter, age 29, died April 1998, a heroin addict and friend of Velasquez. After Bunting, Elizabeth Harvey Velasquez moved to Murray Bridge, South Australia. Porter also moved in. Bunting decided he should be the next victim after he was pricked by a discarded syringe Porter left on the couch in the living room. Porter was strangled in his car parked on the property. I mean, I would be pissed, I will say, if some random dude just was leaving his used syringes. But, I mean, I don't think I would strangle him. I think I would go a different route.
Well, apparently he does it if he thinks he looks at you and knows you're a pedophile. If you're gay or he thinks you're gay. If you happen to have a little extra tummy jiggle.
Yeah, he's the worst.
You got to go. Just fuck this bastard.
I hate this guy. Troy Udy. I
think it's Ude.
21. Died September 1998. He's Velasquez's half-brother and the son of Elizabeth Harvey, who was living with them at Bunting's Murray Bridge house at the time of his death. He was killed in the house after being dragged from his bed while asleep. This was the first murder Velasquez participated in. Fred Brooks, 18, died September 1998. The intellectually disabled son of Jody Elliott, a woman in love with Bunting, was chosen by Bunting as an easy victim and lured to his house where he was attacked and brutally tortured.
So this is his third mentally handicapped person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It infuriates me that when they... I mean, not that they don't all infuriate me, but like there's something about that,
Yes, that and old people.
Yeah, hate it.
And kids.
Yes.
They're all off limits, but especially those three.
Yeah. Gary O'Dwyer, age 29, died November 1998. Man disabled in an earlier car accident and on a pension. O'Dwyer was a stranger picked up as an easy target. He was killed in his home in Francis Street, Murray Bridge, by Bunting, Wagner, and Velasquez. Elizabeth Hayden, age 37, died November 1998. She was actually Mark Hayden's wife, and she was killed by Bunting and Wagner in her home while her husband was out. David Johnson, age 24, was the last victim. He died May 1999. He was also Velasquez's half-brother, murdered by Bunting in the bank building, having been lured there by Velasquez. He was the only victim to have actually died in Snowtown. Now, the investigation began to actually take shape after Elizabeth Hayden's brother reported her missing within days of her disappearance. Her brother did not believe her husband Mark Hayden's explanations for her disappearance, which seemed to contradict each other in varying versions he gave, and the brother also did not believe she would leave without her two young sons, which 9 times out of 10, that is correct.
Yeah.
Mothers aren't doing that.
No.
So.
No, they're not.
Yes. Now, police found it suspicious that her husband had not reported her missing and investigated her disappearance. Elizabeth Hayden was closely affiliated with all of the murderers, so they all fell under close scrutiny once police started their investigation.
It's usually when they go, she was out for a walk. We were fighting. She said that she was going to go never be back. That's why I didn't even report her because she does this all the time. That's something that they would say.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
So the discovery of the barrels in May 1999 in Snowtown was the culmination of actually 5 years of criminal investigation. Police involvement with the then unlinked crimes had begun with the discovery of the human remains at Lower Light, and that was the gentleman Trezise. After Elizabeth Hayden's disappearance, the police installed a listening device in Mark Hayden's house in Smithfield Plains, and recordings which were later used. Wow.
Uterus?
Woo! No, not quite. Wow. Later used as court evidence. We're getting there. I'm getting there, man. Wow. I'm making it through. The remains found at Lower Light were later determined to have been those of Clinton Trezise, who had been murdered in Bunting's living room. Ray Davies and Suzanne Allen were found to be buried also in the backyard of that house. The bodies and barrels were variously stored in several places before finally being moved to the bank vault in Snowtown. These included a shed behind Bunting's house at Murray Bridge in April 1998. The 3 barrels were then moved to Hayden's property at Smithfield Plains later in 1998. Imagine we're just moving barrels filled with body parts all over the place. It's crazy.
Tuesday afternoon.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Then 5 barrels were stored in a Toyota Land Cruiser at Hoyleton, a local locality, on the Adelaide Plains near the Clare Valley, with a 6 and a Mitsubishi Sigma back at Murray Bridge. Both of these vehicles were later moved to Snowtown, and afterwards the barrels moved into the bank vault, which had been rented by Hayden using the name Mark Lawrence, the name he had used before he married, which I found this to be interesting. That I guess that means his wife Elizabeth, he took his wife's last name. Have you heard of this?
I guess if you're a psychopath.
But I wonder. Okay, so I wonder, and I did not look up. I'm going to look this up later. But I wonder if this is more normal in other countries.
It might be.
I'm just curious because obviously, in the U.S., that's not normal whatsoever for a man to take the woman's name. That's just not.
No.
They don't do that. So I'm interested to. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
The movement of unfamiliar vehicles to Snowtown, a small town where strangers stand out, and loading activity at the old bank led to the bank building being searched. Of the Snowtown location, one local police source said, "From what I understand, there was no person involved in those murders from within Snowtown or the surrounding district. They were murdered elsewhere, and then the drums were brought to Snowtown because it was a quiet little town, and there was a premises ideal for the persons involved." Which is, honestly, just because it's a quaint town doesn't mean that something bad couldn't happen there.
Right, exactly.
Honestly, let's be real.
That's when shit is most hidden.
Let's be real.
Right.
Examiners attempting to identify the remains found them mummified rather than dissolved, the latter being the apparent intention of storing the bodies in barrels of acid. The killers had chosen hydrochloric acid, which mummified the remains.
What's acid?
I don't know. It's a new word I use. It's a new little chemical. It's special.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, in the little Crimes That Shook Australia thing that I watched, they had talked about how the killer's intentions were obviously to dissolve all these bodies in the acid.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But I guess it takes a lot of acid, they were saying, and it takes way more acid to dissolve bodies than people actually really know. So because of that, and they didn't use enough, and the vault was so airtight, and it actually preserved it did the opposite essentially of what they wanted it to do. It's gross, but it's good because they were able to identify bodies. There were still fingerprints they could identify. They could see tattoos. They were able to see the method of how they were murdered.
Damn.
Which obviously was not the intention of the killers.
Right.
So
yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the trials of these assholes.
Okay. Let's do that.
After a series of pretrial hearings, the first of the accused to be sentenced was Velasquez, who was given 4 life sentences on June 21st, 2001, after pleading guilty to 4 murders. Later that summer, Bunting, Hayden, and Wagner each pleaded not guilty, to 10 counts of murder. Many of the charges against Hayden were later dropped due to insufficient evidence, and that's why he had really just been convicted of concealing or whatever.
Makes me so mad.
Yeah. The Supreme Court trial for Wagner and Bunting began on October 14th, 2002, and within a short space of time, the court experienced difficulties with the jury. At least one juror refused to continue due to the horror of the evidence, and some sources report that a total of 3 jurors withdrew from the panel for this reason. Both Bunting and Wagner were found guilty on September 8th, 2003. Bunting was convicted of 11 murders, and Wagner, who had pleaded guilty to 3 murders, was convicted of 7. Both appealed their convictions. They were each sentenced to imprisonment for life on each count to be served cumulatively. The presiding judge, Justice Brian Martin, stated that the men were in the business of killing for pleasure and were also incapable of true rehabilitation.
I agree with that.
Yeah. The proceedings against Hayden continued into 2004, and on the 2nd of August, a trial opened in which he was charged with 2 counts of murder and 6 counts of assisting offenders. Hayden testified that he was not a party to the crime. However, on December 19th, the jury returned from 4 days of deliberations, convicting Hayden of 5 counts of assisting in the crimes and reaching no verdict on the 2 counts of murder and the remaining charge of assistance. I hate this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I just hate him. So
The worst.
Yeah. Now, the final outstanding murder charges against John Bunting and Robert Wagner concerning Suzanne Allen, unfortunately, were dropped on May 7th, 2007, when a jury was unable to reach a verdict.
God, I fucking
She
hate
was
that.
the one that they said had a heart attack, but fuck them.
I hate it.
Yeah. The particulars of this case, especially the manner in which the victims were found, horrified and fascinated the public. The murders garnered Snowtown much unwanted attention, and the town is now best known for the murders. According to local residents, in the 18 months following the discovery in the disused bank vault, a steady stream of unwelcome visitors would stop to look at and photograph the building. At the time, the local press reported a suggestion that the town's name be changed to avoid stigma now associated with the name, although this suggestion was never actually acted upon, but one new name in press reports was suggested, Rosetown. The house in Salisbury North was owned by the South Australian Housing Trust and fortunately has been demolished.
Good.
Today, units for older people are in its place. Which I'm wondering, are those haunted?
I was just
are you going to be
gonna say.
haunting these old people? Are these old people the poor?
I don't know, but I might have to report on that because that's in my genre of...
I mean, we might have to look back into it.
Yeah.
Now, that is the disgusting story of the Snowtown Murders.
That was...
Very fascinating. I definitely suggest you go watch the little documentary thing. But that show, I will tell all my listeners who are down under and all of you who enjoy the down under stories, I'm going to be watching the shit out of this show. Okay. So I'm going to have all kinds of new material for you.
All right.
I do have something horrible to talk about, though.
What is that?
One of the people, I believe it's Mark Hayden. I'm not going to say I know this 100% sure, but because I read on it today and I should have done a little more research. But I believe it was Mark Hayden. Just a few days ago was released on parole.
What?
Well, because, so this happened, he was convicted in 2004 or whatever. And remember, he was only convicted for the assisting. So he did not actually a murder charge. So I'm pretty sure that, coincidentally, just a few days ago, he was released on parole.
Okay, so...
We hate this. I just, ugh.
That is
I hate it.
A very good word of how I would feel about this.
Yeah.
But I also hate this.
Yeah.
So
So there it is.
Oh my gosh. Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. The show sources for my Haunted Savannah story on the Kehoe House start with the visitsavannah.com's article. There's 2 pages on the Kehoe House's actual website, the history and the haunted sections, Ghost City Tour's website, and Wikipedia's article on William Kehoe and the Kehoe House.
And my sources for the Snowtown Murders was the Murderpedia article on John Bunting. Also, Wikipedia article on the Snowtown Murders, and then my new favorite show, Crimes That Shook Australia, Season 3, Episode 1.
Yes, bitch.
Yes.
Well, we're already halfway through season 2, which blows my mind.
I know, that's crazy.
I didn't even think about it until today. Like, oh my God, we're halfway done.
Yeah.
How'd that even happen?
I don't know. I don't really know how it happened. But you know what I do know?
What do I know?
I don't know. Mystery never sleeps.
And
That's
neither
fun.
do we.
Bye.
Bye, bitch.
Humor, haunts, and homicide.